Alright, let's do a little video about the difference between fig productivity and fig vigor. Right, so this is a little Bordeaux Negra Ramada. I rooted this in January, put it in ground in March, right when somebody starts mowing. Put it in ground in March, so it's been growing 3 to 4 months, and it's about 18 inches tall. But look at the figs on this thing. It's got over 30 figs on this little tree. So it's incredibly productive. Incredibly productive. And the reason it can be so productive on such a short tree is if you look at it, it's not necessarily that BNR is a slow grower. It has a very short internodal length. If you look at the space between one leaf and the next leaf, it's very short. It's a quarter inch to a half inch in a lot of cases. And so that is where the figs grow, right in the internodal areas, right above a leaf. So the more internodal areas you have on a tree, the more nodes, I should say, not the internodal lengths, but the nodes themselves. It is going to produce more figs per square foot that way. Here's another BNR. Also very productive and not that tall, right? It's a very compact growing tree. People talk about it not being vigorous, but I don't know. I mean, it is vigorous. It puts on a lot of growth, but when you take into account these short internodal lengths, that explains. Like, I don't ever see the need to put a stake to hold up this BNR. It's short, it's stout, it's stocky, but that's the way it grows. When you look at something like, say, I-258, or Genovese Narrow, or White Madeira #1. Those things grow like weeds. Their internodal spacing is insane. They got, instead of a half inch or a quarter inch, they've got 3 to 4 inch internodal spacings. This is Bass's favorite fig. I bought this one from Bass himself at Trees of Joy. I think it was around March. It was in March when I planted this one in ground, and it was a tiny rooted. It had 3 leaves on it. I was kind of disappointed because I rooted probably 30 cuttings this year. And when I got this tree from Bass, it was the smallest rooted cutting I had of all. But anyway, I planted it in ground, and for a month and a half, it just sat there. I mean, unchanged. Nothing changed about it. And then all of a sudden, one day, it really took off. But still, you can see Calderon is not one of those that gets extremely tall. It's also a fairly short, stout growing tree. And because it's got the short internodal lengths, it's got some figs loading up on it. So let's compare that to some other trees that I also rooted at the exact same time. So we're talking those trees we just looked at have been growing for 3 to 4 months, just like these are here we're about to look at here. So I have got an I-258 that's pushing 7 feet tall. That's this big boy right here. Girl, I guess I should say. Incredibly tall. Right, look at this thing. But yet, look, let's count the figs on this thing, okay? We have 1, 2, 3. I don't know, and then there's a big empty gap, and I see 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 figs on this 7 foot. Granted, this is a rooted cutting, right? So it's its first year, but it's grown so much. It's got 9 figs on a 7 foot tree versus the BNR If you count on that, it's actually got 34. I'm not talking about tiny ones, but sizable figs on it, and that thing's like 18 inches tall. So uh, I don't know if you want to eat wood or figs, but if you want to eat figs, I mean, something with a smaller internodal length is, and you don't have a lot of space, might be the way to go. Because look at these, like some of the internodal spacing, right? We're talking about the space, say, between here and the next branch. So we're talking about this area. That's quite tall. On my BNR, I would have a leaf here, a here, 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 and here, and here, all in that same little distance there, right? So that makes it crazy compact and productive. People call this vigorous. It's vigorous, but it's not productive. It probably will be. This is, again, it's its first year, but Genevieve's Narrow, very much the same story. Pretty tall. It's 6 foot tall. And it has a handful of figs on it. And then let's look at another like crazy grower. Here is White Madeira #1. And this thing is a little over 6 feet. Not quite as tall as I-258, but not that far off either. However, it is growing a couple of side branches, so that's obviously going to siphon off energy that would have went towards getting taller, right? So, but anywho, this grew just this year, right? So that came from a cutting. And even though it is that tall, it's got a few more than the Italian 258. But let's see, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, about 20 figs, I'd say. I'm not counting the tiny little ones yet. It's got more coming, right? But there's about 20 figs on this thing, and it's 6 feet, a little taller maybe. 6 feet, 20 figs versus my 18-inch fig with 34 figs on it. So there's a good difference between the way some of these trees grow. Like De La Roca, this thing is 6 foot tall as well. It's just now too starting to get figs, just now. And even though it is just now getting some, I only see 2 or 3 on there. But again, it's just the first year. Ondata is quite a beast. It's almost 6 foot tall, and it does have figs on it, but again, we're talking like in the dozen range. It actually dropped a few earlier this year. Just, it's young. But having said that, it's crazy productive. The BNR versus some of these aren't. So I guess it really depends. Like if you don't have a lot of room, you might want to grow one of these varieties that has a little shorter internodal spacing. But I could see, hey, if you're growing for cuttings, you're selling wood, not figs, right? So hey, get these crazy, like just the amount of growth of White Madeira and I-258 and De La Roca, and that's a Martinique Ramada, which is one of my more vigorous. These crazy vigorous trees that grow like this, heck, cuttings should be 5 cents a piece. I mean, my God, they create so much wood. The wood to fig ratio is just astronomical on some of these varieties. So I don't know. I mean, to me, I kind of wish these all grew like the BNR. I love that growing habit, the more compact, productive. But so there's a little bit of a difference how some of these grow. I don't know why they do that. I think maybe, I don't know where they're from. Like something like an I-258 here that grows so tall. They just have that habit. Those that have them know they have this habit about just growing like crazy. But it could be that where they're from originally, they had to compete with like a lot of bushes and maybe tall native grasses that get like 5, 6, 7 feet tall. And these things had to grow tall and fast to get up there in the sunlight. Like maybe they had to compete with a lot of other, plants for their sunlight versus something like a BNR. Maybe that one kind of grew up in more of a scrub-like environment that was really dry and didn't have to compete with a lot of other tall grasses and bushes, which allowed it to stay short but be crazy productive, right? So I don't know, some food for thought. Thanks for watching.